It's live.
Welcome back. Oh, welcome back. Welcome, folks. This is House Corrections and Institutions Committee. It's Friday, January 30th. It's our 10:30 meeting. We are continuing our work on the governor's proposed capital budget adjustment. We're dealing with Section 3, which deals with the Agency of Human Services, and it deals with our correctional facilities. There's a number of facilities here. There's some budget adjustment items for some of them. And then some other ones I would just like to have a little bit of updates. So we have with us Buildings and General Services. I'm going to turn it over to Joe Asia. Joe, if you could identify yourself for the record.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Joe Edgar, Director of Design and Construction with Buildings and General Services. Let me pull up the first slide.
While Joe's doing that, the first item is on line 20, which is the HVAC systems, correctional facilities. We have put in quite a bit of money over the past few years. In FY26, we put in 4 million. FY27, we're saying 1 million bonded. The governor has increased that bonded amount by at least 8 million. And also added 1 million plus in cash. There's a lot of moving pieces. Like the increase. Doesn't show
That's good.
increase. What am I missing? No. So it's all yours.
Okay, wonderful. First up is the statewide planning, design, and construction for HVAC systems and upgrades at the correctional facility. This is a project that's been in works for a while. We now have enough funding in place that we are working on design and soon temporary air conditioning, and also then hopefully this spring, summer, be working on the permanent systems in 2 of our facilities. Those 2 facilities would be the Southern State Correctional Facility and the Northern State Correctional Facility. We are hoping that for temporary air conditioning, we'll have Southern State Correctional Facility, Northern State Correctional Facility, and Northeast Regional Correctional Facility online with temporary air conditioning. Southern State is complete already. We are working now on Northern State and Northeast Region.
And when the Northeast region is St. John's.
St. Johnsburg, yes.
So we anticipate Newport and St. J to be completed.
Or temporary, they're working on them, both of them, their contractors working right now.
So they'd be up.
So I'm hoping that this summer cooling season, they will be in place.
So the temporary means that there's certain spots within the facility, like the staff rooms, break rooms.
In Southern State, there's a meeting conference room space in each of the buildings holding the incarcerated individuals. And those are the rooms that are temporary air conditioning.
Is that in the living units?
It is in the living room. And in Newport and St. Johnsbury, we're doing the dining halls and the gym. These areas are open to both staff and the incarcerated individuals.
So for Springfield, it's not the dining hall or the gym, it's just those small rooms in the
Living units.
living units. Troy?
And give me the summer, what's happening this summer?
So all 3
Permanent?
facilities should have temporary
Yep.
AC in place.
Yep.
We have contracts in place. Construction manager that once the design is done, and the equipment arrives, that we can start construction. Due to the long length of time to get this equipment, we are looking to pre-order some of our equipment as soon as possible. The deadlines keep changing on us as how quickly you can get some of these units, and so it could be after midsummer, after summer, when the actual equipment shows up. We will do all the work in advance to get that in place. So when the units do come in, we fly them to the roof or wherever they're going on the site and then connect them.
Okay.
So they.
Well, I'm sorry, once they're here, it's not gonna be it's gonna be a fairly quick turnaround.
It should be, yes.
Okay,
So you might not get for Springfield and Newport for the full facility. You do Springfield first and then Newport, or you're gonna
Yes.
do them together?
Corrections is looking for the order is Springfield first, then Newport, then St. Johnsburg.
So if you get the equipment in late summer, early fall, you would install it. And it would be fully operational by the end of this year.
Yes,
So the summer goes by without it this summer, but it will be up definitely next summer. Would Newport be definitely up next summer as well in 27?
yes. We are looking at with the additional requested funds of 1 million in cash, $1,050,000 in cash in 27. We believe that we can get through both Southern State and all of Newport with full air conditioning. We don't have the actual cost of the equipment or labor yet, so it may change, but we will do as much as we can. So in Newport, what we would look to do is get all the piping in place and everything else that we can. And then if we can't buy the unit at this time because we're short of funds, that'll be the next item up for the next biennium. Or we get real creative, looking at what we have out there for funds for starting construction in St. Johnsburg.
So I'm looking at your chart here. It doesn't track.
Oh,
Or else I'm
I do not math again.
looking really weird. What is in the governor?
We will take what's in the governor's recommend.
Oh, you got 8 million more.
There's another copy and paste error.
Yeah.
I apologize.
FY 27 put in $1 million last year. The governor is proposing an additional 8.426 million. Am I reading that right? I hope.
Yes.
So then with an additional 150 in cash. So you got $9 million here being added.
And 9.4 million in bonded funds and then another $1,050,000.
Right,
Okay.
so it's not FY 26 cash for 9.426 on your chart there. It is FY 27 bonded.
Yes.
here's a
I
line,
drew the
your
wrong
line
line
off.
off.
Yeah,
Please make something that fire me.
but the totals still add up.
I'm not gonna do math in public.
Doing that. So the 1 million in cash helps you, will get you through Springfield and Newport, and that will be completed.
We believe, based on what our contractor has given us for an estimate, yes. We believe both can be done.
And then the additional 8 million in bonded for FY 27, what does that get? That's a lot.
Both facilities are very expensive. All this funding that we have, including the cash and bond money in 27, will get us Springfield and Newport. It will not get us St. Johnsburg.
So that extra 8 million in bonded dollars from what we put in, plus the 1 million in cash, gets Springfield and Newport completed.
Yes. Based on our estimates a couple months ago.
So how much is it costing for the facility?
I don't have that with me, but it's the engineering and the temporary work was not that much. So if you're looking at 29. Could be 9 million a piece. Each facility is different though, but I mean, that's without going back and actually looking at the estimates and everything, I couldn't tell you exactly.
I mean, I'm just looking, I know we put in 500,000 FY 23, 300,000 FY 24. A lot of that was scope out the buildings, figure out what was needed. And then at FY 25, we talked about really looking at those common areas, maybe doing those first, or at least get that through the system. And we've been adding money, 4 million and bonded 26, and now a big slug, 27. You've expended 8.7 total. So that's gone for design documents. Well, that's gone to figure out what's needed
Yes.
and design documents and doing those temporary spaces in Springfield and Newport and St. J
And construction managers.
and construction managers.
So their pre-construction services are also included in that 8 million. In reality, they're also, that's part of construction.
Yeah. So there's 11.6 million left. And that will go to complete Springfield and Newport fully.
From our last estimates, yes.
And those will be online by the end of this calendar year. So next summer in 27, it'll be fully operational. For folks, they'll feel it then. They won't feel it in the winter. Let's hope. Questions? And then if you don't get that full amount, what happens?
Newport doesn't get done.
And 8 million additional is a lot. Okay. Not that I'm saying anything. Balancing it out, folks.
Just
When we do markup. When we do markup. You know, the consequences, whatever we do. Okay, anything?
Moving along, statewide ADA compliance, and this is in 3 facilities: Southern State Correctional Facility, Northern State Correctional Facility, and Chittenden Regional Correctional Facility. And we're currently doing work at all 3. Southern State is by far the one that has most of the work that is complete. Northern State is split up of 2 phases, one in exterior and interior. The exterior work is 98% complete. They have to come back because the finickiness part of sidewalks is the pitch in them, and so the cross slope edge to edge has to be just right on. And as you on the bottom left photo here, it's a little bit hard to get sometimes. So they come back and put in a patch to make that cross slope correct. And then on the inside, they'll be starting work soon on that. And with that, at Northern State, it's not as bad. There's a lot of items at Northern State where, you know, the sink is off a ½ inch in height. Dispensers are off a little bit, but they're also going to be creating accessible cells into the units. And that's the same with Chittenden also. About 50–60% of the work at Chittenden is done. All the exterior work is done. There's access paths, paved paths now in Chittenden. That's the upper right photo. Areas to access around picnic tables for sitting areas. There's volleyball, some courts, some of that has to be hardened in order for the potential, wheelchair individual, the likes of that, to be in that area. And then on the left, you see the shower. So some of the showers that are being installed have got high and low heads and or high head with an adjustable arm. The problem with the adjustable arm, which were in the showers here, is the incarcerated individuals get creative.
Mhm.
So we thought we'd give it a try because that is the least expensive method, but it failed. So they'll be going back in and installing fixed heads.
You're gonna be
So
fixed.
Yes, so you have a shower head low and a shower head high to accommodate both. As opposed to a wand that you can move on.
I understand a lot, but I can also, they're fixed. How do you deal with ligature? With this?
All of them are ligature resistant. They're designed that way, so.
So maybe-
The hand wand would be an issue,
Right,
but they're also breakaway for those. But with the actual shower heads themselves, they are ligature resistant. They're sort of a
committee.
teardrop
members know-
shape.
Know what we're talking about?
I know we've
Ligature.
used the term, but can you re-describe it, Joe?
It's really about making the place safe because individuals are very creative. Both in mental health facilities and correctional facilities and likes of that, of how they can provide a point to tie something off of, to hang themselves and the likes of that. So the shower heads are made so if you tried to hang a towel on or something like that, it would slide off. There are hooks that are breakaway hooks that some of them are spring loaded. So what happens is, if you're hanging your towel and whatnot, the hook is up there, but if you have a lot of running like 5 pounds of pressure on it, it just falls. You put the towel off and it goes back up. So there's multiple things. The handrails. The handrails are not what you typically see everywhere else where you can grasp it all the way around. There is a plate underneath that to prevent you from pushing an article of clothing or a towel through there. So that's what the ligature resistance is. And it's when you really go see it at tops of doors, you'd never think of a door, but an open door become a point of ligature. So you have to do something along those lines. Door handles, like so that.
Anytime we're building a building that deals with any folks being housed there, regardless what it is, could be a correctional facility, could be a mental health hospital, it could be a step-down residential facility. Any of those, the juvenile justice, for juveniles involved in the justice system, all of that construction has to incorporate ligature items that are dealing with folks that could use it for self-harm.
Yes.
So that increases the cost. A lot of folks compare the cost of what we're doing with construction in a home. And it's not equal. Or an office space, it's not equal, because you have to put in, by code, you've got to put these protections. Because the
There are
folks that
different levels.
Hmm?
There are different levels, so it's not every single unit has this, so they have different levels. For those types of facilities where, minimal to higher rate of doing everything.
And the part of this, we really have to be cognizant. If folks are sent to the state hospital, or sent to a correctional facility, or sent to a juvenile facility for justice involved juveniles, they are under custody of the state. And we have a responsibility, and they are under our custody. And we have to take care of it. It's an important piece to remember when we're dealing with the buildings. I'm to put that out for folks to think about. So you don't think about it in your average day life. You don't think about that. But we are responsible for those folks under our custody.
So.
Yeah.
Next up, we have statewide correctional facility safety and security upgrades. These funds here are more for DOC, the fact that they're the ones who are selecting the projects that BGS will complete. So some of those items are if they will need an additional camera or the likes of that in the camera system, or want to now change the lock at a different door, increase fencing, on the perimeter, suicide prevention efforts, compliance with, Prison Rape Elimination Act, otherwise known as PREA. And getting back to the suicide stuff and like that, the individuals are very creative. So something happens and we have done ventilation grills that they had paid for in certain areas because if you're very good, you can figure out a way in that small 3/16 of a hole to get something through and around and do it. So there's ways of doing it. Not all of our facilities are old, some more than others. And at the time, they just were not used. There were plenty of other ligature points. So stuff like that, that is what, when DOC has a need, there's not a fee for space, it's not a line item, it's not major maintenance. So this is where they get to say, we'd like to do this in one of these facilities, and this is where the funds come from.
And this is system-wide, and there tend to be smaller projects.
Yes, yes.
So just for information, I guess, that implies to me that there are times where there are individuals in a room and they are not being monitored by a correctional officer. Because if they were,
Fur on that
we're protecting against them hurting themselves. And if someone is in there, theoretically, there would be at least a warning to keep them from hurting themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just would state my name for the record. Travis Denton, I'm the Chief of Operations for Vermont Department of Corrections. And if I'm understanding your question right, please repeat it if I didn't. Are there times inside of a correctional facility where any incarcerated individual is not directly supervised by an officer? Again, that's yes. Not everybody's in active state of crisis. Most, thankfully, that this is not an occurrence that happens at large. But to Joe's point, there's creativity that can go on there if someone is in crisis and not actually, indicating that they want help. In our older facilities, they may find different ways to commit self-harm that we hadn't thought of before. As soon as we do know that someone's, and we train to kind of pick up on those nonverbal cues, we have procedures and protocols that have put into place right away to observe them in the way that you're talking about. But until, everybody's kind of an iceberg, unfortunately, for us. And so we have to, use the training and the skills that we have. And then when we figure that out, the abatement work that Joe's talking about on these older facilities where you never would have thought a ventilation panel could be used that way.
Right.
Unfortunately, you learn that it could be, and then we have to make a request to make a change.
And that makes sense. Thank you.
And that really leads to a conversation that we should have as a committee whenever our schedule works to really go and visit a correctional facility. I think, and I wouldn't go to Chittenden because a lot of people focus on Chittenden. I would recommend either St. Albans, Newport, or Springfield. Because people really need to go into a facility. I think we all have ideas of how they operate, what they look like, and it is not what we see on TV. It is not what we can imagine. It's a very, very different setup. And it's a good opportunity to see how folks who are incarcerated spend their day and what staff has to do. And what it feels like to have a door locked, slammed behind you, and you're in a sally port and you can't go through that next door until it's unlocked. And then you go into living units. I would really recommend we as a committee take a day and go to one of the facilities. Right.
I don't have last bienniums. I don't recall how much you go through in this line item, statewide correctional facility upgrades. You got close to 380 in there unexpended already. Are you going to go through that 225 on top of the 380 that you've got left in there?
It's hard to say. The last biennium, there were no funds.
Okay.
We have some old money, but they went through it. I don't know why there were no funds requested for that at the time. But again, we're adding to it because they do have a lot of needs that are coming up.
We want to find out what they've done.
Thank goodness.
I really haven't had that. I'm looking at FY 24 and 25. Accessibility upgrades. We didn't have anything. 24, 25. This got put into cash. It's cash section. I don't think we did anything, Troy.
Thank you. You've got a pretty good list. I see this as like deferred maintenance. Almost,
It's more on the security side than it is deferred maintenance.
but it's sort of list, things pop up that need security attention. We add it to the to-do list and
Yes,
And I can confirm that, and they pop up, you know, sometimes reactively or emergently, so it's hard to always forecast it, and then depending on what it is, if it's something that's technical, the cost of that has changed over our memory of it, because now it's requires running some sort of computer line or something like that to feed the camera that we really just need in this one spot.
you have like a work order system that's,
We absolutely do have a work order.
so what's that list look like now of things undone in this category? You don't have to tell me items,
Yeah.
but is it robust?
I mean, I think that's the WIM system is controlled by BGS, so they could speak to it at some point better than, but it's a protocol built into the kind of week to week operations of every facility, which would be a review of work orders that they put in. Where are we at with those? I know that all facility management works closely with their kind of local BGS person to kind of keep tabs on those things as they go. And it's a bit of a war of attrition, some of these facilities to
Sure.
present to that. Emmons point is they're kind of like old battleships, and you're constantly trying to just keep that thing afloat, and it takes a lot of that deferred maintenance money and then support from the protocols also, because good security is seldom convenient. You know, speaking about ligatures and things like that, that's why certain things can't be allowed into a facility that general civilians would think are a no-brainer. So it's a kind of coordinated effort.
Thank you.
and like when we're doing the door control project, which is coming up next, we're picking up a lot of that stuff with the new cameras we were putting in. I mean, with the funds that we had when corrections is aware that, you know, here's a spot that doesn't have a camera that should, you know, and there's screens required. That gets added into that scope, but not this. So these are the one-offs that there is no, it's not a major maintenance, not a fee for space item. You know, or they just had it in incarcerated individual who just decided now is that little gap, and that's where they can get through. So there is a little fencing right over and looks at that.
Thank you.
Questions? Keep going.
Up next is the Marble Valley Regional Correctional Facility Door Control System. And this is coming up next as soon as the Northeast Regional Correctional Facility and Caledonia Work Camp are complete. The funds here that we'd be looking for is to complete the design. As I'd mentioned in the past, that Marble Valley and Northeast Regional are roughly the same buildings. All we did on the drawings was change the name for most of it. There were some code changes and different upgrades. There was a cost issue for some reason. In Marble Valley, we had full air conditioning from the day it was constructed. St. Johnsbury, that was cut out of that construction project. So we saved the buck. So this would be the next one in line. Southern States, Northern State was first, then Southern State. And we're working in St. Johnsbury, and then we go into Rutland. So it's just the next one up. in line.
And doors take a beating from what you
Yes.
mentioned in previous testimony. I mean, these are living situations 24/7. They are metal doors. They're not wooden doors. They're metal. They get slammed a lot for a variety of reasons.
They're designed to slam, I understood when we were at CRCF. They have to shut
They
hard,
are.
because it sounds like,
These are to
A
the cells.
gunshot.
These are
Yeah.
to the
oh,
cells.
all right, these were just walking to the.
You're not talking the
You
Sally.
want that door to close behind you.
Yeah, you do, and it sounds like it too when it does. It's a
But-
little unnerving, actually.
Is this all just for the Sally ports, or is it also for the individual cells as well, the door?
Individual cells also.
So when you have a lockdown, the offender goes into their cell. Do they close the door? Does the door automatically close? And during a lockdown, are they locked? And the cell doors locked?
Well, let's use Marble Valley as an example, since we're on that. Yeah, the doors do not kind of swing closed on themselves. What will happen is most folks, and sometimes it's just habit, depending on the reason for the lockdown protocol. They are pretty orderly and will secure the door, and then staff will go through and do a check and make sure any unsecured doors are secure. It's just a part of the standard operating procedure.
Do they automatically lock when the doors close?
Correct, they do. Once they're secured, they automatically lock.
So when they're in there overnight sleeping, is that cell door locked?
That is, except for in the Alpha unit in Marble Valley, which is constructed, stores never have locks in those stores. That's the location of our honor dorm pilot, partially for that reason.
They can come and go.
Correct, they could, but then of course we have unit rules and monitoring, and we, interact with folks to make sure that we control that pedestrian traffic, whether it's inside the unit or through, inter-unit inside the facility.
Sean?
Just quick clarification, you called it an honor dorm,
Honor unit.
honor dorm
Yeah,
unit.
honor unit, honor dorm,
It's part of really came about with the PRIN. Part of it came about with the PRIN research. And there,
It started down at Southern State. They piloted it. They did a really great job of, kind of zigging instead of zagging and trying something out. And we found, I think, great success down at Southern State by having a unit that honor dorm is one term, but it's mostly self-governed. It has facility staff support and lots of meetings. But for example, the folks living in there, they have to keep a locator when they leave it, like you might see in an office. And I will tell you that theirs is usually more accurate than the ones the officers, and I get it, because it's a tough job to be one person watching 50 people go. But if you're just taking care of yourself, it tends to be, it's the quieter unit at Southern State. There is more privileges, so folks really kind of take some ownership over it. And what we decided to do over the last couple of years is say, what is it about Springfield that makes them unique? Can we look at trying this, piloting this in other spaces? So Marble Valley was this next space that we tried, and it's one of those things. It takes a village at first, but it's self-sustaining, and Marble Valley now has honestly. So
Thanks.
yeah,
Thanks for
I can talk forever, and I know nobody wants.
well, it tones down the level of anxiety in the whole facility.
I would agree, and it also allows you to consider doing tiered responses, or tiered movement facility that it's incentive based, that you can graduate into an honored dorm. So there's a lot of benefits to it.
And it gives incentives to those folks who are incarcerated, that there is something they can achieve, whereas a living situation is not as restricted, and they're more autonomous, but they're more in control of their own life.
Yeah, I think just as, folks tend to, in a way that the more empowered they feel, the more, empowered they act, and it's a much more collaborative approach to unit supervision.
And it helps in the security of the facility. And it helps with our correctional staff, because it's not such intense supervision.
Exactly. Welcome to come see it sometime.
That's in down in Southern.
That is it. Well, there's one at Southern, which was the first one. We also have one in Marble Valley, and Chittenden has been piloting one too, which I believe is still.
Yeah, we saw that, and that seemed really wonderful as well.
Yeah.
I mean, we were walking around, they were walking around us. It was like really, and it was lovely. I felt like I was in a store downtown.
Well, I mean, I've been with the department since 1997. Once upon a time,
It was.
the sky was falling, if you had suggested that. So it's good to prove.
Did not match my perspective.
It was mine. Yeah,
You need to have mechanisms. DOC needs to have mechanisms to ensure the security in the facility and mechanisms to help the folks who are incarcerated there to have something to achieve. And it helps in the day-to-day operation of that facility for our staff and folks who are incarcerated. They need tools, and that one tool may not work for one offender, that may work for another. And those, I mean, sometimes the public has, well, why do they have a TV? Well, you know what? They have to earn that one way or another. It's not automatic, but it gives them some incentive. Hey, I saw a person across the hallway from me have a TV, why can't I? Well, you earned it one way or the other. So those are those little pieces that play into the culture of a correctional facility. We think they're being coddled, but in reality, they had to earn it one way or the other.
Mhm.
And that could be not getting any major DRs, which are disciplinary reports, or being put into closed custody or that type of thing. They just abide by the rules in the facility, and quite often what you will hear from DOC, I hope you back me up on this because I've heard this for years. We tend to think of when someone's incarcerated and their behavior is equivalent to the crime that they were convicted of. So the more violent the crime, the more heinous the crime, we think they are the hardest persons to supervise in the facilities. And what usually happens, those are the easiest folks at times to supervise. And it's the ones that may not have created those most violent crimes, but they're constantly in trouble. And they are classified in DOC based on their behavior in the facility, not their conviction, not their crime. So we may think that the most heinous crime, murder, sexual assault, they ought to be in the high custody, maximum custody situation, but they may be a model person that's living there that's abiding by the rules. They don't need to be as high supervision. Now, I hope I can be backed. I mean, that's what I've heard over the years.
Positive reinforcement. Yeah, I would back that. And I think what allows that to draw a line back to PGS is as long as we have good, solid, exterior perimeter security, everything within there, you have the ability to actually be behavior-based. The front door, the double fence, and all these kind of security laden projects that we do, whether it's in enhanced lighting and cameras, all that allows us to really allow for the proper management of behavior, incentivized and or containing behaviors as they rise and fall within that space that is a tightly controlled perimeter. So it's the marriage of good, solid, strong security with good, solid case management and people management on the inside, really dealing with the individuals. But I would attest to 15 of my years were in the uniform, and some of the more heinous or shocking crimes were those folks were not. Anecdotally, I would say that was probably the worst day, and their behavior didn't follow suit inside the facilities. There's a lot of group dynamics where some of our younger incarcerated individuals, I've got 3 boys and they were incarcerated, but man, they were a handful.
Right.
And at a certain time in their life, they were really a handful. And as they aged out, they started to so I kind of draw a little bit of a similarity there inside of a correctional facility. Sometimes it's just your groupings and impulsivity and all these other things, boredom, etc.
And the other thing too that I've heard over the years from DOC is for sex offenders, that they are the easiest population to supervise because they're quiet. They don't do anything. I mean, they are the easiest ones. And according to the public, they're up on the level of being the most difficult to supervise and notorious, but when you start talking about when sex offenders are incarcerated,
We agree, by and large, in an incarcerated setting, folks with that offense profile are easy to engage with and very they're compliant and they follow rules and to some degree, you know, within the incarcerated person's life, they're incentivized to be good because they don't want to be in, you know.
Yep.
they can be.
They can be targeted by other incarcerated individuals, so, you know, being visible, being compliant, those are all things that also help them.
A lot of little nuances to the population. That's really important for us to understand that so that when we get into policy of corrections and even construction, it's the whole gamut. Really have to understand the psychology and the social give and take within an incarcerated facility, because it's not as we imagine it. It's not. It's a whole different world. And the goal of corrections is security. They have to make sure the staff is secure and the population is secure. So that's my rant for the day. It's all yours, Joe.
All right.
Anything else? Door controls.
Well, if not, there's more to come. Northeast State Correctional Facility, Caledonia Community Work Camp. That door control system. We are working right now on our final estimates with our construction manager and going out to bid soon for all the sub trades to start the work on that facility. So once those prices are fixed, we'll know a lot more of where we stand here with the additional funds that we're receiving and what's in and what's out. But that project will start to begin, and I'm not sure the completion date. It's a year because it's certainly a smaller facility than St. Johnsbury Newport. So it's very well could be completed in a year. But I'll know a lot more once the bids come in and we get a contract executed to complete the work.
So this is for both the St. J facility as well as the work camp.
Correct. The work camp, I believe, has like 5 doors.
Yeah.
What I don't know is if we're gonna be adding doors. I just was going through my mind roughly walking through the facility, how many doors there are right now that are controlled.
How many beds again in the work camp? 50, 100? Never remember.
I'm gonna say it's 50 each side.
Yeah, so it's 100.
Reserve the right to be totally wrong about that.
I think you're right. I think it's 50 a sec. How many of those beds are used?
I can check out our daily head count. Hopefully Christine-
I think most of them at the moment.
Yeah, we had
If not all.
to, with our head count population being what it is now, we've had to really use every nook and cranny.
And they're set up like bunk beds, like a bear.
Bears, yeah, so.
And it's an open room. They don't have individual cells. We worked quite a while ago to use those beds for folks who have reached their minimum. And they used to be called B1s, where they reached their minimum. They were eligible for release, but they didn't have appropriate housing. And instead of taking up a hard bed in our facilities, we said, well, can't we put them in the work camp? Is that still being done? No.
I don't think it's being done with that kind of rigid arrangement. We have too many other, you know, our detainee population, for example, has kind of gone through the roof. So we've done, you know, some assessments on behavior and found like the low level detainees that might be an overflow space for them on one side. I think B1s are consistent kind of throughout, at least our regional facilities. It's really, we're over subscribed on beds, to use the term that I've heard thrown about. And so we've kind of had to do the cleanest dirty shirt approach at points when it comes to that. But in a perfect world, I think, yeah, you would want to have folks that are simply there for lack of housing be in the most kind of low custody space. And then, of course, there's the reentry component. If you're looking for housing and you're in St. Johnsbury, you're not from St. Johnsbury, there's a bit of a barrier in that whole sequence of reentry to be doing it from other ones.
And last year in the appropriations bill, there was language, folks remember? There was language, the DOC would look at possibly converting that work camp into a substance use treatment area. That report is due sometime in February. We gave you an extension on the date. That was the administration's direction last year. Don't know if it's gonna be the same direction this year. We'll see. But that language, we worked on that language with our colleagues in Probst, and it was in the big bill. People remember that.
Mhm.
So we do have 100 beds in this work camp. That is minimum security per se, because the structure of the work camp was that the folks who had a short sentence could go away out of the facility on a daily basis and do projects for nonprofits or municipalities. And there would be a crew from the work camp that would go to like a municipality to paint their town hall, or to a nonprofit entity to maybe do some addition in a building or renovations in the building.
Super data.
No, but they did, but they got a day off their sentence for every day they served. So if they had a 2-year sentence, they were out in a year. And that was the structure that was set up in the 90s to help the flow of folks through our facilities. What's happened is the folks who come in now are not the same caliber in terms of risk and severity of crime that was there. Most of it was misdemeanors. So over time, and we're very clear on who will go to a work camp. So over time, the population that would be eligible for the work camp has gotten less and less and less. So this facility was built specifically, there was 100 beds. This was the first one that was built in the 90s for low risk, low severity in crime folks to work, push them through. They got a day off their sentence for every day they were there. If they violated, then they would get put in regional facility. So we don't do that now because we don't have the population that will qualify unless we extended who could go there. But we haven't done that. So this is to do the door controls really in the St. Johnsbury
That is correct.
medium security facility, and really looking at those 4 or 5 doors.
But they're working.
And you anticipate you're going out to bid soon, and then you'll know more of the dollar amount?
That is correct.
You're not sure if the 6.7 million is going to get you through everything?
That is correct. Okay. Next up, St. Albans roof. There was no additional funds requested in FY 27. We are working with contractor to get the contract executed. Some of the roofs up in St. Albans are a Tectum style roof. And they were able to, back when it was originally installed, to nail through this Tectum. There's an issue that in today's world, they have some concerns and would not warranty the roof. So we're working with the contractor right now to say, okay, let's, once we get better weather, to go up and open up part of the roof test to see the actual condition of the Tectum. And there's a hard gypsum type cement surface on top of that. That, if that has failed, that will not stop us from putting the roof on. And one of the areas that was leaking, they did find that is broken up a little bit. So we're going to, the design of it is to go back over the roof because we're adding additional insulation. So we're going to put shrapnel down, and that will have no impact then on that material. But the contractor's concerned, doesn't want to sign the contract at this point in time because of that. And we had in the contract additional materials. It's long lead item. So it's not like, if we ordered enough, what do we do? So we're gonna go through really a test to see what we can find out, order a good estimate of the material, so we'll have it on site when they start, and as that progresses, the contractor, they have to stop because we got to order more. There'll be other roofs to work on, so they won't be sitting idle. But if you look at the drawing behind the site plan that shows the grade area, we are doing, 10 roofs at that facility. So it's a considerable project.
How many of the roofing that you're doing or project to do is involved with the booking area expansion? Because that's also happening up here or not,
We are holding off on the booking area for now,
or the roofing.
for the roofing, that is correct.
So for folks who weren't here before, there is a whole redesign of their booking area. And it may extend into other areas as well. We have put in, and I'm thinking we may have put in more than this. In FY 24 and 25, we put in 2.6 million for the booking area expansion. And that's for planning, design, and construction. I think we put in some a little bit before in FY 24. I think we did something, because it came up then. We were on Zoom, remember, this first came up. Has that project, the
It's
expansion of,
progressing. It's in the design phase. We've completed our programming. We're gonna be moving into schematic design. Part of the problem is the tight area that you have up there and trying to meet the needs of corrections of having a drive-through Sally Port. Then when you lay things out, the easiest way to lay it out was just more square footage to make the whole thing work. So they're reevaluating that at this point in time. As to less square footage, how could we make it work? The drive-through part of a Sally Port's a wonderful thing, but due to that higher cost, and it wasn't perfect, it was at an angle to pull in and pull out. So maybe that reworking of the site and everything else, we only go through a regular garage style Sally Port, you pull it in and back out.
so when you say drive-through, the officer drives in and then can drive forward to leave.
So that is correct.
Garage doors on both sides. Okay.
Yes.
How many booking cells do we have there now? 5? What?
Yeah, Kristen Trevor, Deputy Commissioner Service. We have 5 currently.
So Northwest, this is St. Albans, is putting through booking 5 cells. They're putting through folks who are coming from Franklin County, upper northern part of the state, Northwest, as well as all the folks from Chittenden County. Because when we converted Chittenden to the women's facility, those men were transported to St. Albans, but any male that's arrested around Chittenden County, Addison would go to Rutland. But around Chittenden County, that upper end, Lamoille County, they are shipped up to St. Albans to be booked. So all the detainees, folks who are arrested in Chittenden County, Lamoille, Washington County, northern parts, will go up to St. Albans to go through that booking area to be booked. And then also your ICE detainees are coming through there, as well as your federal marshals, because we do have contract with the federal marshals for federal crimes that are committed in Vermont by folks who are living in Vermont. They come through that booking area too. So how many folks do you put per cell sometimes? 4 or 5?
Visualize multiple for sure, and I'll add, the space is smaller than this room. We have a body scanner in there now, which takes up
The space for 5.
the space. So you have kind of the main space and then cells going off of it. There's a body scanner in there now that takes up about a quarter of this room, maybe more.
And then you have the 5 cells
Correct.
in this space with the, how long does someone stay in the booking area usually?
I think it depends on their status and sometimes their, whether it's their medical condition, mental health condition, or their legal status. For example, someone who's a pre-arraignment misdemeanor, in order to, again, good security is not always convenient, They haven't been thoroughly searched, so we don't, they could have dangerous contraband on them. We don't thoroughly search someone to say an unclosed search when they're pre-arraigned misdemeanor, so they would have to go, if they came in on a Friday, they might be in that booking area until they are able to be arraigned at court and hopefully released. In order to keep any potential contraband on them from kind of getting into proliferated around the rest of the complex. I just did a walkthrough to kind of assess our language access recently at Northwest. The intake of an ICE detainee takes about 1 to 2 hours, and then they've really operationalized and streamlined. That includes the medical portion of the intake, and then they get them into the dedicated living unit that they've established for our ICE detainees. That could be a different timetable at different facilities, but at Northwest, they have to be by a large margin the busiest booking area in our state. And so they really figured out how to do a lot with very little space, to include collaborating with our medical staff to make sure that the process is optimized and can streamline, shuffling spaces to make sure that folks that can get past the booking area are past the booking area, so that only folks that are left are maybe constant observation or pre-arraignment misdemeanors. The SOP for booking is we don't want people to be in booking unless they have to be in booking because of how tight it is, and that's everywhere. The smallest Marble Valley to the largest Newport.
Just want to put that on the table so folks can process that one. Okay, anything else on the roof? Okay,
Moving on, Jordan State Correctional Facility, the sprinkler system upgrades. This is mainly in A2, but we do have running into compressor issues. This is basically on the dry type system. So there's a wet type and a dry type to oversimplify sprinklers. Dry type is just that. Until an actual head goes off, there's no water in the pipes. The head goes off and it takes only seconds to fill that pipe. But what happens is yearly, we're required to test it. So you got to flow water through that pipe and then you drain it. In some situations, you don't have perfect pitch. So you end up with pipes like this with a hole in it. Takes a while, but when it lets go, then it goes. And so we have a lot of that. And then, as I said, there's also compressors that have to run constantly to be keeping the system dry. And so this is going to be evaluating that and replace pipes, compressors, and the likes of that.
Sean.
Is the wet one better than the dry one?
Yes.
Yeah. So we're trying to get rid of all the dry systems.
Wherever it gets cold, though, it's going to be dry. They used to be that there was a relatively high level of gallons of antifreeze that you could put in for, called an antifreeze loop. So you had a loop in there, it was filled with antifreeze and mixture of water like a radiator, car radiator. However, they found out that, antifreeze is flammable. So, for the first couple of minutes, you're fanning the flames with that. So they've reduced the amount of antifreeze that you can have. So we're doing a lot more dry pipe systems. But just over the years, pipes move and you end up with a low point here and there for one reason or another. Or it just doesn't, the pitch isn't strong enough for it to drain.
So this is a new appropriation for FY27.
That is correct.
What are you gonna do with $500,000?
We have to go in and inspect all the areas that are bad, so we'll hire a sprinkler engineer to come in and do an assessment. And then plan going forward on how much we can replace and whether or not we'll need additional funds or not.
You're not gonna get into any design documents or construction, it's just to evaluate, just to, do an inspection.
If it's minimal, it could get us through design and construction. If it's worse than we anticipate, I'll be back in June.
Yeah, well, you'll be
I'll be back anyways to give you an update.
You'll be back either way, that's,
We can't wait.
But now,
all right.
all right,
Other,
next up, here we're back to door controls. And it was decided that in this case, the situation is we have been labeling the sites. This, we have been labeling the sites and doing door control. So this rounds it out as to its door controls. statewide door control. So we're now able to, if we run short in St. Johnsbury, we'll be able to take some of this money, put it towards the St. Johnsbury site as opposed to starting in Marble Valley. Or we can start using it in Marble Valley because yes, we got our money that we needed in St. Johnsbury after the bid, and then we can get started on Marble Valley. And then if there's two other facilities left, it is whether or not, I know we're not going to be able to use this funds to move on, but I think going forward it would be door control so we can keep this moving. And door controls is more than just door controls. There's the fence perimeter system, there's video cameras, the likes of that, and then there's what you got to fix because of this.
So the 2.7 is new. And it's bonded dollars is going to go to complete the Rutland and St. J work.
Yeah.
It is, right, it's cash.
Good, I'm right.
It's-
No, that's quite all right.
1-1.
Today.
Oh, well.
It's cash.
Yes, it's quite all right.
If you don't have the 2.7, can you finish St. J
Until I have my bids in for St. Johnsbury, I can't answer that. So whatever money that we may need to finish St. Johnsbury, if the bids come in higher than we anticipated, we will use these funds. If not, it will go to Rutland. So instead of putting another million and a half at St. Johnsbury and hoping for the best, because this is in section 3, we can't move the funds. So this way, under door control, it gives us that.
What's the, okay,
Last up, Newport, Northern State Correctional Facility, the boiler replacement project. So we have the chunk boilers that are in the main building. So the incarcerated individuals actually were taking the roughly 3-foot length chunks and putting them into a boiler. The boiler used to be a coal-fired boiler. They modified it for wood. And it's in place since the day it was opened. It is becoming more difficult for both correctional officers and finding incarcerated individuals who want to step up and spend, I don't know how long they were in there, but a good probably 8 hours on a shift, and throwing wood into the boiler. They're also getting old. So what we're looking at doing is constructing a building to house a wood chip boiler. Similar to what we have throughout the state in other locations. Now, the difficulty that we're running into right now is on this plan that you see here, the orange picture is where the boiler house in storage would be. All these other little squiggly lines that you see onto the left-hand side going to what looks like a tractor trailer is just that, trying to lay out how you can back this 18-wheeler into the facility to offload. The hard part is we have driveways and wetlands and retaining ponds. So this was the last rendition that I was involved with. They are now working on maybe having to relocate the wetland ponds to make it accessible. So that facility is hot water. So all we'll be doing is having pumps pump water to the boiler house and then back to the facility. So we do have to run a trench from wherever this new building goes back to A2, which is roughly the center right-hand side of the drawing. Intent also is to put it outside of the secure yard. That way our maintenance staff can easily have access to it instead of going inside the facility. The same with deliveries.
so looking at this. I know we've been talking about this boiler forever. And you said there's 3.5 million in FY25 bond? And I'm not seeing that in our spreadsheet.
Maybe it's cash.
Oh, I'm looking. I know that
I'll be one.
we had 600,000 in cash in FY24, And we pulled that.
No, it's bonded money, because if I remember, we had bonded in cash. And then I think you
Doing this.
moved it to bonded, all bonded funds.
Why-
25?
It's FY 2025. Is that may not be the final spreadsheet for that. It's 26, 27. Can you help out at all, Scott, on that? Because I may have the. Oh, that would be the,
All I have is my notes and
wait a minute,
from
wait a minute.
last year, from 25.
Maybe looking, it may have been in the BG, oh, it was in the BGS line. It wasn't corrections section, it was in BGS section, 3.5 bonded.
Madam Chair, that's what I would have said.
Yeah, I was looking, I was looking section. It was section two.
I don't pick the sections.
I know you don't pick the sections. That's where we were getting back and forth back then. So there's 3.5 on this. Are we gonna finish this project this year with a 5 million? 5.1?
I don't think it'll be completed this year because we haven't resolved where the building is going to go and what those impacts are. If I do have to move the stormwater ponds, that could be expensive.
When will that be resolved?
They're working on it now. I don't have a date.
That would be included, the move of that stormwater pond would be included in this project.
It was not included in this price tag. In this estimate.
But it would be on our nickel and not A and R.
That is correct.
Just a curiosity question, where did the original wood chunks come from?
When it first opened up, the facility took actual log lengths and the incarcerated individuals blocked it up, stacked it and moved it to the boilers. Now, again, not run around with chainsaws anymore. That they now bring it in chunk line. So there's a contract for that.
So it's not clearing brush on the side of the roads, that kind of wood, we're finding it and chunking it.
Yes.
Not clearing brush, no, we do have a contractor that we purchase.
Yeah, sure.
The vendors don't leave the facility.
No, I understand.
Crew.
We're crew, yeah.
So when are you gonna know about the pond? Stormwater pond?
I don't have a good idea on that. I would hope in the next month or two, we have a good idea where we're headed, but I'm not sure.
So that cost of moving that pond's not included in the 5.
It is not. And you see, there are two ponds.
There's 2 ponds, which you need to move both ponds or just one?
Don't know that yet. And there's ledge.
Oh.
The ledge is in the pond.
Just add
Just so
another.
you know, it's not where we show the building, so if we start moving around the site, it could run into ledge.
How long have you been seeking a determination for
For what?
whether or not the storm ponds need to move? Storm.
That started probably in December. And really, we've been trying to move the building around, because part of that is also maintaining the truck trap in place and keeping it outside of the perimeter. So in this drawing that we have here, the bottom and the right-hand side actually become the perimeter. But it just isn't enough to get the 18-wheeler to back in. There are some better drivers out there who could pull this off, but you can't always be dependent on getting the good drivers. And this is the main road coming into the facility, so you have all of the people who are coming to the facility having to make it up that road. So for somebody to be jockeying around in an 18-wheeler could slow things up. It's also part of the perimeter road, so you don't want to be blocking that for a long time.
Is it up on a hill too? Is it?
No, this here would be right next to the existing truck track. So the truck trap would move forward a little bit, forward meaning to the right-hand side closer to A2. And so, because you wouldn't need the truck trap so tight, but these are the things that we run into. You would think it's easy because there's plenty of grass that you can see there. However, when you see the green note red note up to the right-hand side above what looks like the drive, all utilities are running through there.
Oh, of course they are.
That's all our high voltage and that's, you know, in concrete. So
No less.
it's not something you could just easily move 5 feet to gain. And then when you, even if you could, you'd be looking at a shutdown for the correctional facility, and shutting them down for any length of time with no power is not a good idea.
Yeah, you're gonna have a lot of problems.
Yeah.
A lot of security problems. So be busy making things up to do.
If you remind me why we're going to wood chips as opposed to something.
There's just not enough staff to operate chunk wood.
No, no, yeah.
So we'd go to oil.
Propane, number 2 fuel oil, why are we doing it? Going with wood chips again?
Life cycle cost, wood chips are the lowest.
For operation.
That includes all this reconstruction
It
of
does not include
facilities.
all the reconstruction,
So
but otherwise, but when you look at it, it's still less expensive than propane and oil.
really,
Yes. I don't know for this facility, but I do know here in Montpelier Heat Plant, when we looked into that, fuel oil had to be number 2, had to be down around $1 a gallon in order to beat wood chips. I mean, these, when you go to wood chip, you're not looking for the high-end trees. When you're using, yes, you know,
Whatever.
we can burn pine. Poplars are hardwood, so it does. We don't want pine, but otherwise, you know, you can take the section of the tree that you can't use for lumber, and it's either firewood or junk, and that's what gets chipped up.
I hate with wood. I just curious with all the rearrangement costs, whether that really is cost effective. Yeah, good.
It is.
So you're gonna know probably in a month or two, a little bit more. Oops, I'm sorry, Mayor.
Is this project even realistic anymore?
Yes. We have not given up yet until if we can't solve this, yes, then we're going to be looking at something else. But it's still at the point of coming to a resolution that we believe can work.
And how many years have we been discussing it?
We have been discussing it for a while. We haven't gotten to the point, we were doing programming and deciding which is the best way to go. So during that programming, we investigated, you know, drilling 470 wells on a property for hydrant and stuff like that. So that's where we're now at, is getting down, laying it out and going, here's some issues and resolving it now. I mean, I could say that we could put it right there and it's up to the truck driver to make it work. But just knowing how things go in the future, this is a 50-year plus plant, you know.
Are we going to see it in our lifetime?
Yes.
Project?
Let's hope it.
Long lifetime.
I'm not planning on going anywhere, so will we see it?
I hope that we resolve this in the next couple of months and they can complete the design and get it out to bid for construction
Okay,
in the
We
next year.
started dealing with this, Mary, when we were on Zoom.
I know. Okay,
Anything else?
I know.
Before we
I
transition
know
to
that's not your problem.
that's all. We're running late, but that's almost now.
You see that too? The use stabilization facility.
No, but that's DCA. It's DCF. We'll schedule that one on separate. Because they're still. BGS is still kind of working on RFPs on that one, so I want to. Get a time frame of when you know a little bit better. So let's shift gears. BJ, I think you'll see, Kristen, I'll connect further up with you. And you're back in here next week on supervisory. Thank you. Thank you, Transparent.
Have a good weekend.
So the vet's home, I'm sure they've been waiting, unfortunately.
Hi, Melissa.
It's Melissa, thank you for being patient. Thank you, thank you. Right, spreadsheets. Nice. Are you moving or are you walking us through?
That's it, thanks.
You're gonna hang up.
I was not prepared for this, but Melissa's got her slideshow all together and take the lead, so I'm just back up, but
Okay, so section 6, folks.
Yeah.
And we can have some updates on the area.
Oh, just sent me over the top.
Then we're back.
Give me 2 seconds. I'm trying to get a hold of Greg, who's home, to see if he can join us in case you have specific questions that I can't answer.
Okay. Food for Sonoma. Whether or not.
I sent him a text. All right. Would you like me to just start by going through my
You ready?
PowerPoint?
We're all out, we're ready.
Okay.
Why don't you get started here?
Okay.
This is gotta go down.
Do it there.
Oh, kids.
Okay, so I'm going to start. My PowerPoint starts by providing you an update on
Melissa,
our.
could you identify yourself for the
Oh,
record,
sorry.
please?
Yes.
No, that's fine.
I'm Melissa Jackson, CEO of the Vermont Veterans Home. With me currently is Steve McClafferty, our Finance Director. And hopefully I will be having Greg Cruzan, our Environmental Services Director, join us. If not, I will take any specific technical questions back and we'll get answers for you. So starting with current projects, we have the resident furnishings, which had $230,000 appropriated. We have spent $96,000. We are in the process of ordering wardrobes, which is going to be a substantial purchase. B and C wing do not have bedrooms with closets, so they have built-in wardrobes and dressers. So we need, I think it's almost 60 of those. So Greg is in the process of ordering those, and that will take up a large chunk of the remaining money that is there.
The remaining money of how much? Because we're not seeing this in our spreadsheets here. Because this is from previous appropriations.
It showed up on a letter I received. Hold on, let me get to my
It's
email.
left the,
Oh, it's
Steve
repo.
McClafferty.
Steve knows.
The balance currently is about 133,000, like 133,228.
And that is from what?
That was money that I forget from what year the governor gave us for furniture. It's
It's
several
old.
years old. Yeah, it's several years old.
Several years old.
Yeah.
Just trying to track several, because it could go back. Some of us remember what happened in the past and some of us don't. So many moving pieces.
Is that the FY 23 furnishings and security?
Yeah, FY 23, 230.
Yeah.
FY
You've got-
24,
That money.
I have 230,000 in FY 24.
That's
And
that money.
You just confirmed there's 133 left currently.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, 133,662 and 33 cents.
Yeah, right. And I'm just gonna monopolize this for a second because this is all repo. Did you just, I was handing stuff to the chairs. Did you talk about how much of that you anticipate going out?
I don't have the
Okay.
exact dollar figure on the wardrobes, but I will definitely get that to you.
That was done in FY 23. That was done. Is that calendar year? It was in FY 24, so it is up for review.
Yeah.
On the reallocation.
And not automatic.
Right, it's up for review. So
Yeah.
so the 133 will be used. You're ordering the wardrobes right now. And that 133 will go towards the wardrobes. Have you gotten a cost estimate of what the wardrobe?
I believe Greg does. What I will do is I will find that figure and I will send that to you.
Okay. Great.
Then we have our heat pumps, which show up as air compressors on the capital budget. That's the 710,000. We have spent $446,000 thus far. The project is 65% complete. We have hit a little bit of a hiccup. We've installed some units, and the past three units we've put in have failed. So we have the manufacturer, not the manufacturer, the company coming out to look at them next Monday or Tuesday of next week to see what the situation is. And then if they can't determine what the issue is, we will actually have the manufacturer, which is out in Oklahoma, come out and look at the system. So until we figure out why we've had 3 units in a row fail install, we've kind of put a hold on it. Because up until this point, things have been going along fine. And now we just had this just strange anomaly. So
could you go over the number again? Because I don't have the starting figure in front of me. And it wasn't in FY 24 or 25 that I could see.
it was $710,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have spent 446,000.
476 you've spent?
446.
Oh, 446.
It's on the second page.
Yeah, but I want to know when that, okay.
What?
When was that 710 appropriated to? Oh, that may be. cash.
That's why 26 bonded.
Yes,
It was? The
yes.
laundry, just
For air
air handlers.
It says air handlers.
Air
but
handlers,
actually
okay,
heat pumps.
got it. Yep, got it.
Okay. So the next 2 projects are, we're gonna talk about the boiler
Yep.
and the generator. So the boiler project, the RFPs were just scored on January 5th, and that's currently in the contracting phase. So no money has been spent on that, but we are moving that project along. The elevator project went out to bid and no one bid on it. So speaking with Sabrina, they're going to be putting that back out to bid very soon. She said the end of January, which is today. I haven't had a chance to talk to her about how soon that's going to go back out to bid. So, and if we don't get any takers, then we're going to have to talk about what we're going to do, because there is some elevator work that needs to be done.
Right. And we had those monies in, the boiler was in FY 24. And the elevator upgrade was also in FY 24.
I thought we recall this too.
Yes.
The elevator, not the boiler.
Did we have cash on that? Was there any cash on the elevator one? Because I'm coming in, you're showing 1.5 million. What I'm seeing on the spreadsheet was just $1 million in bonds.
I don't know.
And I don't,
Do not see.
unless it was a previous,
50.
elevator. I think that's-
I do not see cash.
It may have
Not
been,
on not on repowering.
all right, I may have put the wrong number there. I will go back and look at my notes.
Yeah, I've got an FY, this is an old spreadsheet. This is a spreadsheet from FY 24, 25.
Okay,
What I see for elevator upgrade is $1 million in FY 24.
okay.
And I don't see any cash. That one was,
Okay,
So now let's start with 1.5 cash in the American unit design.
that was the A and B, and we
Yeah.
reallocated some of that last year.
Yeah.
We
yes,
moved
I'm gonna talk
that,
about that in a little bit.
Right.
but the elevator itself, we had
There's one.
elevator upgrade in FY 24 and 25. We
Okay.
put in $1 million in FY 24. I don't have FY 23. There was any.
I'm not seeing any cash on refill for that. The
And that may have
only,
been my error of typo. I will go back and check my records.
Just
So I will
wanna
trust,
see.
okay.
So when
No.
are you gonna, no one bid, so when are you gonna go out again?
Sabrina said the end of January, so I will get an exact date from her, because it is the end of January.
That's today.
Yes, it is. But it's
it's quite literally the end of January.
Okay,
Right? When you say you did not have anybody bid, no responses at all, or they said no bid because?
Sabrina said we had no responses at all.
Great.
Yeah, but that's usually the term when there's no bids that came back means there's no responses. That's the world of PGS. If they say that they submitted RFP, there were no bids. That means no response.
With anything there, it's very difficult to get contractors to work for us.
Yeah, right. I understand. In my world, we received no bids from contractors. They said no bid because. So that's why I'm asking. So we physically didn't get any
No.
responses. Yeah.
Okay. We
Okay,
have our
well, here we go. Our favorite, washer and dryers.
So washers and dryers have been installed. They're working wonderful. The staff love them. So
Great.
$150,000 towards them. We spent $96,500. We haven't spent anything on the laundry room yet. The design RFP is supposed to go out. I haven't followed up with Sabrina to get the exact date, but I do know that the design is going out very, very soon. So I will get you that date as well. But they love their washers and dryers. So they said,
great.
thank you very, very much.
Now, if we can only take care of that ramp.
Don't you guys love that ramp?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the A-wing design. So the A-wing design is done. And as when you guys were here, we talked about how expensive that project is. So costs are going up. And one of the conversations I want to have with Sabrina, also I'm going to be in DC next week, I want to have with the VA is how much give does the VA have in terms of increasing as costs go up? Normally it's 10%. So, and that's 10% of just the construction cost. So if you're looking at a grant project that's about $49 million, the 65% that they would pay would be $31.8 million. So they would give us $3.1 million in overruns. The state would be responsible for the 35%, which would be 17.2 million. So if we do a new cost estimate and it's way off, then we need to have the discussion of, do we pull the grant back, reapply? Greg and I had some initial conversations yesterday about what parts of that project we could potentially remove. So it's sitting down and having some really detailed conversations with Sabrina and the architect. There are some really nice things in that design that we don't necessarily need. So those conversations need to be had. So before we come to you and ask for bonding money. So
We have 1.5 million here.
Yep.
And that is, get my head straight here. Showing the right lines. It's cash
Yeah.
from last year. So I just want to orient myself. When we took the tour, that was the empty wing.
yes.
A-wing.
Yep.
See.
Mhm. Yep.
And that would be used for, was that going to be used for like a dementia memory?
Yes, it's for memory care. Yeah. And I do know that there's a lot of nursing homes closing in the state. I had a conversation with Dale asking about our availability to take veterans from nursing homes that are closing. And obviously with this wing offline, I can't take any other veterans right now. So, but I want to make sure.
What went offline that you can't take any veterans right now?
So it actually ties
Oh, the
into
whole
some of
wing?
what it's the sewer pipes in some of those rooms.
Okay.
Yeah. And as I explained to Dale, my concern is, we do have, it's an isolated in a few rooms, but if you have residents over there and other pipes start to fail, where are you going to put residents if we're full? And of course, anything that happens at the vet's home makes news all over the place. So the last thing I want to do is place residents in an area where I already know has life safety problems. I can just see it now on the front page of the banner that we readmitted residents to an area that we know had problems, and now we have residents living in an area where there's sewage issues. It's just, not good.
Yep. So when are you gonna know, you're headed down to talk to the VA?
Mhm.
When are you gonna have some idea on what's gonna happen here with the funding? help?
So I will talk with them. And I'll be back late Friday. I'm gonna email Sabrina when we're done here and see what her availability is so we could talk. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll have a good idea of what the situation is.
So you'll know by the middle to end of February.
Yes. Yep. And then talk about, obviously Sabrina has a better understanding of what the capital needs of the state are and where we fit in and all of that. Understanding that there's a whole lot of pressure on the budget for various reasons. So
And that's why I always ask for time frame so that when the committee, we're gonna be doing markup beginning about middle of February, 20th of February, we're gonna start markup.
Yep.
Yeah. So, okay.
and then we have basically an emergency request for our sewer pipe. So this is our beautiful sewer pipe under B and C wing. So when you guys came in the front door, this was the area off to the right of our building. This was just a beautiful, beautiful mess. So this is cast iron piping. It's a lot of our building is cast iron piping. If memory serves me correctly, it's 4-inch pipe. It's old. It's starting to corrode. This section of pipe had to be cut open, cleaned out, and put back together. The cost of this is very, very expensive. It would behoove us to mitigate this problem by replacing 7,800 feet of linear cast iron pipe with PVC pipe. One of the reasons the cost estimate is so high is not all of the pipe is easy to access. As Greg was explaining to Senate institutions, some of this stuff has had geothermal stuff built over it, and it's not easy to access. But what we're trying to do is get ahead of a major catastrophe and coming to you with an extreme emergency replacement bill. But if you have very specific technical questions, I can take those back to Greg. But
So what is the $500,000 gonna get you? Is it gonna complete the complete project?
so we initially had asked for $750,000, and we were surprised that it was at $500,000. But so it would do the vast majority of the project, the $500,000.
So just for the committee to understand the process, you asked for 750,000 when you submitted your request to the fifth floor.
Correct.
Governor's office. You asked for 750,000 to be included in the governor's capital budget.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
what they put in was 500,000.
Right. So we would prioritize those areas that are of the biggest need. And that is our memory care units, mainly because with memory care, people inadvertently flush things they should not. And that's where this picture comes from, people flushing things that they shouldn't. And that's the area that's most at risk.
So the thinking is at least you could get I would assume the thinking is you could get the bulk of the project done with $500,000 and then come next fiscal year, we true up
Yes. Mhm.
for the 250.
Yes.
Costs would probably go up as well.
Yeah, but they would be able to get the project going.
Mhm.
When would you anticipate doing the project?
That I'd have to ask Greg. How soon
Would
we
it
could
be
get it
the-
done.
Would it be this summer or was it gonna be more towards October?
Probably my best guess would probably be more towards October, but I will verify that with him and let you know.
Change in direction, back to recall.
Are we done with this one before we change direction? When are you planning on going out to bid? As
That I
soon
don't
as
know
the-
either. Yeah. As soon as we know we have the
Right.
funding.
Right, you can't go out to bid until you have the funding, but
Right.
you won't have the funding until probably middle of June.
So we can get the RFP written, so the minute we know we have the funding, we can have it ready to roll.
Anything else? Sean?
We're still talking about 30 beds, right, for that area?
Yep.
And I just want to say that's 1.633 million per bed.
That is
I just
correct.
want to, I just want to state that. Thanks.
Is there any federal dollars that could come for
Oh,
this?
oh, it is.
Yeah, that's the,
31.8 million.
No,
is-
you're talking the wing, I'm talking the
Oh.
sewer pipe.
oh, the
oh, yes,
sewer.
I could apply, definitely, because any project over $400,000, I can apply for federal VA funding. So as I've been telling everyone, there is 2 billion with a B dollars worth of projects on that list. Our boiler project is on that list. The problem is last year, the VA only received 185 million. So I don't know when the project will get funded, but as I did with our mold project in the past, when the money arrives, of course, it would come right back to the state. So I always apply for any project that meets the threshold. I just don't know when the federal funds will arrive.
Melissa, will Greg be able to answer these questions? Is he homesick or what?
Yes, he's homesick. So I
Well,
can email.
We'll be doing markup, Melissa, we'll be doing, when we go start moving money around, we'll be doing that middle of February.
Okay,
As I said, by then you will have already visited with VA. You will have some direction in terms of the A wing that might help know a little bit. May end up giving us some flexibility or may not. We'll have more information. And then we can do a little more digging into the finances and the moving pieces with Greg.
yes.
Yeah. Anything else on this before we shift gears to repo? Troy?
The one remaining item on the letter that we sent you, also from FY24, is that 4.5 million on the emergency generator, but I don't think you made a comment on that unless I.
The emergency generator is with the boiler project, I believe. So I will have Greg follow up, because what they were investigating is, and I'll find out where the status is for almost the same amount of money as replacing the one generator that needs to be replaced, as we can replace the facility with a whole house generator. And I will find out where he is in the process of that.
So would that 4.5 be used then for the whole house?
Yes,
Okay.
it was a combination of the boiler plant and the generator would be encompassed within that whole 4.5 million.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else? Well, I'm sure Melissa will be back in contact.
That's quite all right.
But I
I
can
don't mind.
tell you, it gives us, at least for me, and I would assume committee members too, for us to have taken that tour in the fall. Was a big help to us to really understand your requests that are before us and your previous requests. It really gives us a point of reference. And I really, really appreciate that day and our
We're glad
lunch
to have
that
you.
you provided. It was a very, very helpful day. And I really appreciate it. I think the committee does as well.
Yes.
Great. We're glad to have you.
Okay. Anything else before we break for lunch?
No.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Stephen.
Hi, Steve. Bye.
We'll be
Melissa.
back in touch, I'm
Thank
sure,
you.
and be back in
Okay.
touch with us when you have a little bit more information.
I will. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so for the committee, we're gonna meet a little bit more after lunch.
You are.
What's his name out there the last time we talked to them?
Great.
Right?
Thank you, Joe.
Welcome.
Thank you, Paul.
It's like every time you have a serious talk, it's not his hands.
It's, it's still, yeah, it's still.
No, we,
Comment, but I wasn't gonna.
Oh, what we're going to do.
I really want to,
Yes, I do.
we take a lunch at 12:30 and be done?
Or
See, come right up.
We go until 12:30 and it's be done.
We just take this what she said, like roll through and then be done in a half hour.
Be done at 12:30.
Yeah, that's fine.
let's do it.
Is it okay if I eat my peanut butter sandwich?
Go ahead.
Excellent. She's not gonna do.
Oh, we're gonna be done at 12:30.
Well, we don't know. You know, by the time he gets up.
Tell you what, I'm gonna get myself a glass of water.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we got a few minutes.
Huh?
It's just good. It's nothing you can
So
say.
he's not canceling.
No.
No, I just sent the note again, so he should see all the way up.
Well, anyway.
He was scheduled for Tuesday. Then it's been. Recently, where am I committee? Oh,
It's careful. You've got a in unit, we've got a waiting list.
It wasn't even mentioned.
because he has a commitment.
The parents and coaches.
I hear you.
We're all up together, now that school vacation would be great.
As I'm recalling, he was.
No, no,
the last time.
I would prioritize that.
I would too.
That we're set,
I think it's
and
nine.
what will happen is
John?
that